Now, on 12 News, when will the drinking water be back? 12 News spoke to an expert about Beaumont's water and the process of getting to a time when the boil water advisory can be lifted.
Plus, we've heard lots of complaints about the Red Cross and the way it's run its shelters. So we went to find out the truth, see how conditions are inside.
It was extremely dangerous to come and go out.
And people in the city of Orange are finally able to leave their homes after Harvey flooded them in. How they managed to get supplies while the water was high.
Live from Southeast Texas, 12 News at 6 starts now.
Good evening and welcome to 12 News. I'm Erica Harris.
I'm Kevin Steele. Thanks for being with us tonight. New at 6, we've seen and heard complaints about the Red Cross emergency shelters. Some have said they did not get the expected care, did not get enough to eat.
We wanted to know if it was true, so we sent our David Littman to the Port Arthur shelter to find out, and he joins us live with the answers. David.
Erica, Kevin, I was allowed to go inside the shelter, but I wasn't allowed to film inside. However, I wanted a Red Cross representative to answer to that criticism, and then I wanted an honest evaluation from the people who would know best, the evacuees.
We had to get resources from everywhere, and they started in. We sent out the word, and within 12 hours, we had stuff coming in. So, I mean, it was slow going, but it was coming in. Everybody had what they needed. We'd like more, absolutely, but everybody got what they needed. They were taken care of. Couldn't ask for anything better.
Ken Watkins helps run the shelter at Thomas Jefferson Middle School in Port Arthur. While he admits the shelter struggled to get some of the supplies it needed, he says there was never a time when the residents went without.
I hear that, but, you know, if you talk to the residents here, they'll tell you that we treated them well. You know, we're there for them. We've taken care of their needs.
So I asked the residents to find out if that was true.
They've been pretty good, decent over here with us at the shelter, you know, feeding us okay and all that type of stuff.
And just in case an adult might feel self-conscious about criticizing the group that took them in when life was at its worst, I asked a group known for its honesty, kids.
It's been kind of fun.
Yeah, it's been kind of fun.
But they just have too much rules now. It's like,
yeah,
at first,
look, we had found the rules out. Like, a couple of days later, we ended up looking on the wall, and we found a whole bunch of rules.
Yep, like a whole bunch of rules. Yeah, we just like, that's
and then they had rules, no running, but we be running. It says, no playing, but they got a whole place we could play at.
Watkins said part of the initial struggle was that many of the locations where the Red Cross would normally go for supplies were also flooded. But he said whenever there were problems, the city of Port Arthur and the entire community made sure the evacuees were taken care of.
It was challenging, but it was amazing to see the community come together. One of the ladies put out on Facebook that, you know, some folks here hadn't eaten in a while, and you name it, it showed up within hours.
Watkins added that he heard some of the other shelters around the area also struggled to get supplies in those first few days after Harvey. But he said now that the waters receded, that's not a problem anymore. Reporting live from Port Arthur, David Littman for 12 News.
In the city of Beaumont, the question most crucial to almost everyone, drinkable water. When will it be back? It makes the world turn, so to speak. Tonight, 12 News has learned the process may be further along than you know. Is it going to take 6 weeks? 12 News set out to verify if that's the case with an engineer familiar with Beaumont's water supply. He believes we are in the last stages of having drinking water from the tap back in play. Lamar University Environmental Engineering Director Dr. Jerry Lynn is not recommending using Beaumont water for drinking at this time. But he has done samples both yesterday and this morning showing the water does not have major contaminants in it. No heavy metals found, no organic contaminants detected.
Typically, if you observe the metals and also the organic compound, I do not see any major contaminants that existed so far.
And while Dr. Lynn's lab is as good as the TCEQ uses, it is not certified by the state. Dr. Lynn says chlorine is now being added to the system, and he believes as soon as state regulators can approve the water, the supply will be available. That is consistent with what the city released this morning. The TCEQ could approve human consumption within 24 hours of seeing the water is safe.
The water distribution system, it is a very complicated network, and that's why we put a lot of sensors. I'm sure that what the city is doing is the right thing to do, and I personally have a lot of interactions with the city's water utility departments, and I trust those guys to be able to get our water system back online.
Remember, drinking water is also essentially a legal term. Beaumont has reported a stable pressure of 70 psi at its plant, but needs to stabilize water pressure in several locations to satisfy state regulations for drinking water. And several preliminary tests are still being conducted. But will it take weeks to get the water ready? We've verified no. As it looks right now, it should not. Fire hydrants all over town will be used to flush the system. Dr. Lynn says Beaumont needs 25 million gallons of water a day, and that appears to be days away as opposed to several weeks. If you have a question you would like verified, please contact us at verify@12newsnow.com. We'd like to be able to help.
A cemetery in Silsbee damaged after floodwaters from Hurricane Harvey. Dozens of coffins were unearthed at Hickory Grove Cemetery in Silsbee. The Hardin County Sheriff's Office talked with our Kelsey Johnson about what's next and the effect on family members.
I spoke with a family member moments ago. Now, she didn't want to go on camera, but she did tell me that she has 2 cousins buried out here at Hickory Grove Cemetery. She says she got a call that caskets had been unearthed, and when she came to check it out, she found that both of her cousins' caskets had been stacked, one on top of the other. The Hardin County Sheriff's Office says it's met with funeral directors in the area to make sure proper protocol is followed because this is such a sensitive issue. Last week, the office received calls reporting that there had been floating caskets after flooding from Harvey. Deputies went out by boat to investigate and found roughly 25 unearthed tombs. They then moved the caskets to the fence line and secured them. So far, all but 2 bodies have been identified. The next step will be to notify family members and put the cemetery back as it was before the flood in a respectful manner. Sheriff's deputies will be monitoring the area, making sure no one disturbs the graves, also asking neighbors to keep an eye out as well. And the family member that I spoke to says this is a hard time for her family because it feels like losing their loved one all over again. In Silsbee, Kelsey Johnson, 12 News.
After Hurricane Harvey first made landfall in Texas, Hurricane Irma is expected to deliver a devastating blow to Florida, the southern part of the state now in hurricane watch.
Meanwhile, 2 other hurricanes are ramping up. Let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Patrick Vaughn, who has the latest on the tropics. Patrick.
That's right. 3 hurricanes right now. We've got Katia in the southwest Gulf, of course, Irma and Jose. All 3 are not going to be an issue for us. Hurricane watches, as Erica and Kevin were saying, in effect for southern sections of Florida, I should say. Mass evacuations out of South Florida. Boy, we can relate. Remember 2005? Yeah, we do. Can you imagine how crazy it is in South Florida right now with everybody trying to board up, get out of town if they can? And certainly an issue there with this very devastating hurricane on the way. Right now, it's headed right over the Turks and Caicos Islands, and it is appearing like it is strengthening a little bit. Earlier today did not look as impressive on satellite, and it does look a little better than it did earlier today. Currently, the winds remain at Category 5 status, and it's moving to the west and northwest at the present time at 16 miles an hour. Winds at 175. That's sustained. Gusts up to over 215 miles an hour. This is one of the models that has been performing the best. This is the European model on the track so far. Notice this is trying to develop it and even strengthen it. Now, this thinks that the water temperatures of 87, 88 degrees out there are going to be better for it to strengthen rather than the shear. It's a toss-up right now. Will this strengthen or stay the same? Hurricane Center now going with this track, but not the intensity as far as the forecast. Keeping it as a 5 and then weakening as it pulls on into southern Florida, coming up Sunday afternoon as a Cat 4 and going up the entire coastline of Florida as a Cat 4. Also watching Hurricane Katia in the southwestern Gulf. Not an issue for us because of the front that came through. Winds are at 80. It's going to be headed on to the southwest, making another landfall over towards Mexico. More on your fantastic forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Patrick. Tonight, the majority of people in the city of Orange are now able to leave their homes. That's because the water levels are starting to recede.
Stephanie Esquivel joining us live tonight from Orange, where we can still see some standing water. Stephanie?
I'm here along Simmons Drive on the Sabine River, and as you can see here behind me, the water is less than a foot high. People I've spoken with tell me today was the first day they were able to move around freely, but that certainly has not been the case for more than a week now.
It was a problem to get out because it was totally flooded. It was flooded everywhere, and the water had a current in it.
Brenda Ryan says she had no way to leave her home, and the only way to get supplies was through the rescue crews.
The rescuers, they supplied us with a lot of water. You know, they did what they could.
She says the reason why she didn't leave was because she didn't want to move from shelter to shelter.
That's a lot of moving for a woman of my age. That was a great inconvenience, so I stayed. That's the reason I stayed.
But today, things got a little easier as the water receded and she's now able to leave her home. Orange Mayor Jimmy Sims says the water levels are going down because the city was finally able to power on all of its water pumps.
During the storm, all those pumps were shut down because of loss of electricity, and now they're 100%.
Mayor Sims says close to 90% of the city is dry, and he only expects the water to keep on receding. Live in Orange, Stephanie Esquivel, 12 News.
Very dry air over southeast Texas, making for a pleasant forecast. All the green and deeper moisture out in the Gulf of Mexico. And that dry air over our area means plentiful sun coming up the next several days. Your forecast just ahead on 12 News. Wow, what a beautiful day across southeast Texas. A nice cool start and a fantastic finish. As you can see, downtown Beaumont looking at mostly sunny skies. Same thing over in Lake Charles at L'Auberge Casino Resort, a member of the Medical Center of Southeast Texas Victory Campus Sky Cam Network. Over the next 7 days, looking at, well, maybe some showers out in the Gulf. We'll take it. Water levels continue to fall across the Natchez. Town Bluff down to 72.2. Evadale down to 20 feet. Saltwater barrier at major flood stage 12.5 feet, and all falling. The Yacht Club coming down at 7.4 feet. Major flooding still ongoing at the Sabine River, but everything is falling. Deweyville's at 28.5 feet. In Orange, they're at 6.4 feet. Low humidity levels. Oh, my goodness, loving this, as we will continue to see that persist across the area. Did have a few clouds earlier today, but mostly sunny skies out there, and of course no rainfall. Debbie in Port Arthur at 82 and Mauriceville Lynn at 85. We're at 81 on our Weather Watcher network. Stacy at Old Salem reporting 80 degrees and across the state. A lot of 80s on the board. How there's a 90-degree reading over in towards Edinburgh, 92 in El Paso, 80 in Paris, Texas, but they're already in the 70s over towards Shreveport, Lufkin, and back over towards Tyler. Austin checking in at 83, and it's currently 83 also into Houston. Not a bad afternoon. As you can see on satellite, some high clouds trying to move in from the west into southwest Texas. Clouds associated with the front out in the Gulf, but high pressure ridging on down from Arkansas right into our neck of the woods, and that means fantastic weather. Futurecast will confirm this, with temperatures falling through the 70s and probably through the 60s. Most locations should see mid to upper 50s lakes in the morning when you get up, and close to 60 in the Triangle. So another cool morning, a repeat performance, our repeat forecast. Tomorrow, a lovely day to finish out the week, as we're expecting highs low to mid 80s, again with sunny skies and low humidity. On the Gulf of Mexico, choppy seas around 2 to 4 feet expected in your coastal marine forecast tomorrow, with a northeast wind at 10 to 15 knots. The water temperature is 78 degrees. Tonight, beautiful night to be able to open the windows again if you so choose. Otherwise, we'll see lows in the mid to upper 50s lakes to the lower 60s in the Triangle. Light northeasterly winds tomorrow. Marvelous with highs into the low to mid 80s. A sunny, pleasant day. Extended forecast. Green bar days the next 3 with cool mornings and fantastic afternoons. Love this time of year with low humidity. As you can see, quiet weather right on through the next 7 days with no rainfall. We'll start to see an increase in temperatures as we head towards Wednesday and Thursday, along with more clouds. But right now, the next 7 days look rain-free across the area.
And I don't think any of us will miss the rain.
Not at all.
I'm not in any hurry to go look at radar either.
Okay, well, thank you, Patrick.
Thank you much.
Well, coming up on 12 News, see how some Jefferson County ranchers are recovering after losing cattle due to Harvey.
Some of the most devastating images of Harvey, Gulf Coast ranchlands where thousands of head of cattle did not survive the flooding. Still, ranchers say the loss is not as bad as the 2008 loss from Ike.
We warn you tonight that some of these images you're about to see are graphic. Lance Edwards takes us to rural Jefferson County.
Okay, see here? There's the water mark. Harold Clubb recalls the waters rapidly rising on his ranch along Old Big Hill Road just south of Hampshire at the height of Harvey's punch. It rose on everyone's land.
That's not a normal way. He's not using his ears or anything. I mean, he may have 24 hours.
Across the upper Texas coast and into the Trinity River Valley, Harvey left cattlemen with thousands of stressed livestock. Even a week after the storm, Clubb is left to assess the lives lost on his land.
I don't have any idea. I can look right through here now and see that I've got a hell of a loss.
As waters rose through the night, ranchers shared high ground and even used airboats to herd and save as many as they could. To this day, ranchers still do not know how many head they lost.
They cut the fences and opened the gates. They came down here. They couldn't get them to move.
Efforts never stopped to save the stranded after the rain stopped. First responders teamed up with ranchers to drop bales of hay out of helicopters. But it's not just heroic efforts that saved livestock in this storm compared to Ike. Rancher Chuck Kiker says Jefferson County was more prepared this time.
I've lived here all my life, and the things that Drainage District 6 and even I think it's 3 or 4 in Hampshire have done over the last 15 years made this way better than it could have been. And it just got a lot of water out of that area really quick and probably saved a lot of animals' life, a lot of wildlife's life.
Every calf, and even the ones who are severely broken, can set back a rancher nearly 3.5 years. De-stressing cattle is as much of a challenge as a lost life on the ranch.
And you just pull your boots on every morning and go out there and do everything you can do to take care of the ones that are still with you and then rebuild.
It's what Clubb and his family have done for 70+ years.
We don't have to
make good with what he's got.
What we got left.
In Hampshire, Lance Edwards, 12 News.
Rebuild.
So much devastation. Well, millions of dollars will be lost by ranchers collectively along the upper Texas coast. But one positive mention by ranchers and farmers, the fact that this flooding was caused by fresh water runoff and not saltwater storm surge. This will make the lands quickly more useful.
Back in just a moment. Our thoughts and prayers with the people of Florida tonight as this storm bears down. Irma does or does not run the risk of sending us showers in the future?
I think if it's going to head on up towards the Ohio River Valley, just too far to our east. So,
okay, well, that's good news.
Great of an issue at all. What we are going to see is some great weather right on through the weekend. For tomorrow, though, we'll start off on a cool note. Some of us will be in the mid-50s up in the lakes. Probably going to need some jackets or something on your arms in the morning. But by the afternoon, we'll warm up nicely under sunny skies into the low to mid 80s, and as I said, green bar days as far as I can see. We may see a little more cloud cover coming up on Wednesday and Thursday, and temperatures will warm back up then a little bit. But right now, the next 5 days looks fantastic with comfortable mornings and pleasantly warm afternoons. Abundant sunshine, no complaints in this direction.
No. A nice break for those people who are still cleaning up after the storm.
Sure helps, makes it easier.
Thanks a lot, Patrick, and thank you for watching tonight, watching 12 News.
See you back here tonight at 10, everyone. Bye-bye.